earlier in the season when they were in second and they were somewhere hanging around a title contention, and we knew that that wasn't going to be the case, that long term they were not going to hang on to that position. He was asked about it, and I remember sitting here and saying, it is not the job of the manager to bring the ceiling down of your own team. Now, I understand that you want to limit expectations and you want to be realistic about what your team is, but you can answer those questions without bringing the whole ceiling down and say, no, why should we dream about big things when we can be average and we can be mediocre? Here is far more comfortable in average and mediocre. Again, it is not the job of a manager to take away the hope, the dreams, not even of the fans, but of the players. If you're a player sitting there and you're thinking, oh, okay, all right, top 5, we can have a good end.
The last-minute winner against your rival.
I know, which should be a situation that you should celebrate and actually back your players and say, this is the sort of attitude that we need in order to finish in the top 5. This is the sort of momentum that we need. We have a tough road ahead, but we have the players that can meet the challenge. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say, nah, it's already been a good season no matter what happens here. That doesn't excuse whatever happens at the end of the season, because to Jules' point, if they don't end up getting in a top 5, given the fact that they have been in that position for the most of the season, this becomes then a failure. Mm-hmm. Regardless of how you frame it, if you're Maresca, it becomes a failure.
To Ali's point and to build on what Mario was talking about, you're not just motivating the fans here. You're asking Maresca to motivate the players. The players are seeing this, they're hearing this, and my concern is how do they then interpret that? And let's draw comparisons with a couple of clubs around Chelsea, whose expectations were higher, or more to the point, lower, between Chelsea and Forest to start the season. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody had Chelsea finishing higher than Nottingham Forest. But you know Nuno Espirito Santo is not sharing that message that you heard from Maresca with his players. That, oh, never mind what happens from here on in, it's okay, whether we finish top 5 or not. He is not, regardless of this slide. Whose season is more disappointingly off between Man City and Chelsea's? Man City. But even when Man City, through all their struggles, and we kind of ridiculed Pep for it, even when they were struggling, when they get a good result, Pep would say things like against Ipswich, oh, we've turned the corner now. This is the good old Manchester City. Nobody really believed it. Well, nobody sitting away from Manchester City truly believed it. But that's the positive message that he's sharing with his players. And then in step Enzo Maresca. And regardless of whether you get a good result, regardless of where your expectations were, he is just dragging that down, as though to say that we should not aim to shoot any higher than one place above where we finished last season, which nothing about the game, nothing about how it's played, nothing about being a player in a team, especially when there's an expectation around you, kind of assimilates with that. And I find it really odd from somebody who's been involved in the game to be sharing these kinds of messages when your team is in this position.
Is he the right man for the job, Mario?
Yeah, I don't think I don't see that is yet a question, because I don't think so. Because I think if you can bring the team up from where they came from, you remember if we go back to a couple of seasons, the way they were, he's right. The team is higher than when he came and took the job. But we also have to remember, like I had moments as well when I was in the team, and what Shaka said, when you're coach in the team. I hope, you understand, let's hope for that he motivates the players, not like the way he says it on TV. Oh, no, don't worry, you're not going to be like that. Because he says the same thing, it's like, yeah, like the guy said, it's a downer. You want to look at your manager and always look at him like you have the solution of whatever is happening. When things don't go well, I look at you. What do you got? Because that's why you got the job, and that's why you are dictating us and telling us what to do. And I feel like now comes a moment that there's so much news coming out, and it almost makes us feel like is he doing similarities to the team, or because he's making the fans are going to listen to what you got to say? Then the people, even when I was when I don't go a lot to Chelsea, but the times when I go, whenever I go, and I speak to the people that are part of the club, of course, you know, being connected to the club, you go to areas where normal people that would go to the stadium would not go. But when you speak to them, you could hear the uplift and the happiness and the things that they were trying to achieve. And then you listen to him. It's the total opposite. And even one of the owners, the way he spoke, when we were in the room, most of all the players were there, and the way he spoke, you could see that they have a plan, like in the sense, I didn't always get the plan, but they have at least a trajectory of saying, well, that's where we want to be, that's where we have to go. And then when he talks like that, it's totally the opposite of the way they were talking. So that for me is a big surprise.
Generally speaking, when you're preparing yourself to accept failure, it's loser's mentality. Yeah. You are making a plan as to how you're going to accept your own failure before it happens. Loser's mentality.
What does his future look like, Jules?
It's a great question, really good, because I think everything we've been saying has obviously been noticed by people above him at the club, from the ownership to the sporting directors, and they've got plenty, to people who decide. Really, the lack of ambition, the poor communication, maybe the lack of leadership even with his own team, his own dressing room, his own players. All of that has been noticed. And to be fair, to his credit in a way, he's a young coach, young in age and young certainly in experience. This is his first season in top-flight football, full season. Last season in the championship with Leicester doesn't really count. Before that, a few months at Parma doesn't really count either. This is the first season. So I think he's also learning. And I really hope, I don't know him that well, but I really hope he's learning from all of this, because he looks like he can't really cope with the pressure. He looks like he's struggling, as we've been saying, although it's not all bad. It's obviously, and they can finish third. And third would be great for Chelsea. So it's still very possible. But when you listen to him, you believe that they're 15th in the table and that this is all wrong. So, yeah, people have noticed. And you know what? For the first time, maybe, I worry a little bit about him for next season.
Of course, we've got Premier League games still to come over the next 48 hours, including a big one in the race to the top 5. Manchester City taking on Aston Villa. Pep is certainly not playing this game down.
He's a contender to qualify for the Champions League, both games. And when you see the game against my friend Luis Enrique, PSG, wow. I was really, really impressed. They can play low block and play away, but when they decide to go with the weapons they have, the speed they have, the set pieces, they're incredible, well organized with Unai. It's a final, and we need our people, because I think our people won the Champions League next season again, and hopefully can help us for the middle one. Don't wait. Sometimes we are sloppy, sometimes we're not playing good. It's that now we need them.
Pep calling on the fans. Let's take a look, shall we, at everyone's predictions for this tie. Of course, could be an FA Cup final as well, given the way the draw has been made. Myself, Shaka and Jules are going for Villa. Ali and Mario are going for Manchester. Mario, Manchester City?
Yeah, I know, Dan, you're surprised by me going for that. You know why? Because I have not only the feeling, but also I think he can change things around. And I am worried about, because this is definitely it's a big one, but Villa has also some moments where they dip, and they go missing, and City had it the whole season, but I feel like they might be able in the moment where they started to pick things up. So this is going to be a big game, but I still have a feeling that I might give it to City. So I'm sorry, Dan. Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
That isn't the most convincing argument I've ever heard, to be honest.
I'll give you a convincing argument, Shaq.
Go on, then.
Selfishly, I have put Nottingham Forest 5th. So I needed some results to go against Aston Villa. Therefore, Manchester City to beat Aston Villa, so Forest hangs on to that top 5 position.
Well, you've got that, and Mario's got a feeling. This is where we are.
That's as much as we can produce for Manchester City.
City, you look at them running Wall Saints, Bournemouth and Fulham. Jules, I think it's fair to say, isn't it, if you were to pay to watch anyone play in the Premier League at the moment, it would be Aston Villa.
Yeah, they're the most informed team in Europe over the last 10 games in all competitions. They've won 9, and the only defeat was the one at the Parc des Princes in the first leg of that quarterfinal. Apart from that, it's 9 wins in 9 for the rest. One more than Barca, 2 more than PSG, and that's it. So really, really remarkable. And Pep was right. They can do it in so many different ways. And it's not always perfect. Remember that second half against Forest, 3 weeks ago or so, when they were so good in the first half and then switched off in the second half. And we've seen them in games, in the same games, having highs and lows and moments where they're very dominant, very good, and other moments where they struggle. They concede goals, loads of goals. I think Emi Martinez has conceded something like 45 goals in 33 games in all competitions, something like that. So they are a bit leaky, but with the ball, especially since January and the transfer window that they had, so many options, so many different profiles going forward, so many players in form too. Even Watkins, who was clearly very angry that he didn't play much more against PSG, now showed Unai Emery that it's a bit of a headache who you pick to play on Tuesday night against City going forward.
Yeah, I'm with Jules on this. I think Villa are proving themselves to be an incredible proposition right now. I wanted to see how they reacted to the game, to going out to the Champions League, and I thought you couldn't ask for more. And then you contrast that with, City beat Everton, albeit Everton, and late goals in that one as well. So when you contrast City late against Everton to Aston Villa's absolute tearing apart of Newcastle, I think
they demolished Newcastle, thrashed them, embarrassed.
It wasn't fun to witness, but that kind of is why I think Villa are favourites for this one, even at City.
Of course, both teams thinking about their semi-finals that are coming up this weekend.